Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Am I the A-hole? Story 1. AITA for standing up to my GF's father. Me and my GF have been together for 12 years and have a 1-year daughter together. We started experimenting with letting her stay overnight with my parents occasionally, but lately my GF's father has been complaining that it was time that the baby spent the night with them. We want our daughter to have a good relationship with all her grandparents, so we put away some misgivings and left our baby with them last weekend. The night actually went better than expected. The problems came in the morning when he sent us a photo of the baby eating a cookie. My GF lightly scolded him for giving the baby sugar since he knows she's not supposed to eat sugar until she's 2. When we get to their place we start discussing how the night went. He tells us that the baby was coughing a lot, so they gave her an extra dose of antihistaminic. This time my GF scolds him more harshly. We had told them the baby would cough during the night, but there was nothing to do, other than the treatment she's following. He loses it. Starts telling how he raised 2 kids, that we would never criticize my parents like that and that he would not be reprimanded in his own house. I say that he is overreacting and his daughter is right, it's common sense to follow dosage instructions. My GF also says that she would say the same thing to my parents under the same circumstance. This made him angrier. Says that he already knew that his daughter was cold and cynical. This couldn't be farther from the truth, but now he could see we were perfect for each other. Also says that if that's how we feel, then that's the last time he takes care of the baby. Then he goes on a tangent, bringing up a bunch of unrelated topics and just generally berating her. Now, I've seen this happen multiple times. Whenever he is pissed off at something, he finds some random issue to make my GF a punching bag. I've considered intervening in the past, but since this usually happens over texts or calls, I just give my support and keep quiet. However, this time I feel I have to speak up. I just straight up told him he is being emotionally abusive and this is a pattern that has been repeating for years. Faced with this accusation, he asks if I'm saying he bullies his daughter, to which I just reply yes. This made him mad. Told us he would not be coming over for Christmas and then kicked us out of his place. In the aftermath, I decided to extend an olive branch. Next day I texted him, "Hi, GF's father, yesterday I said some things I shouldn't have said and I apologize for it. I hope we can get over this incident and that it doesn't affect your relationship with baby's name. Hugs." Why, I might be taught, if I had kept quiet things would have eventually blown over. My GF says I was just having her back. I think she's right, but, at the same time, I think I was also being a bit self-serving. At the end of the day I created a situation that will be hard to patch and might have ruined my daughter's relationship with her granddad. Story 2. AITA for refusing to give up my table to a bigger group of people at a CAF. I was in a CAF with one friend. I wanted a rectangular, bigger table so that I can work with my laptop without feeling too cramped. The table can theoretically fit 6 people, but in a slightly cramped fashion, and 4 people comfortably. Behind us was another table the same as ours that had 2 people sitting and drinking tea and eating snacks. They didn't have any laptops or notebooks out. The other tables are circular and not very practical to me if I want to order something to drink and work, and have a friend sit on top of that, and I had a bunch of stuff, bag, coat, some groceries I bought earlier, notebook and book that would help with my studies. I saw the big table empty and was elated, and I sat and settled myself on top of it and started working and chatting with my friend. They also were too close to other people in general and I wanted to be as comfortable as possible in order to work, so the big table it is. The CAF in itself is cramped, but outside were many empty tables. On the inside, as I said, the empty tables are small. Comes in a large group of people. The waitress put several smaller tables together and seated the large group. After that happens, one person comes to me and asks me if we can exchange tables, so that their group of 8 people can sit on the table I am at instead. I refused, told her I don't want to be too cramped. She looked taken aback and looked at me with a frown and a glare. I didn't budge and just went back to work. I think I am the asshole because they are a big group of people and they also felt cramped in smaller tables even if theoretically the tables fit them, and I was hogging the bigger table all for myself and all my stuff. This happened a year ago by the way, and it still haunts me lol. However, I also feel conflicted because on the other hand, they could have asked the other table behind me if they can give up their table too, yet they didn't. They also could have gone and sat outside. It was cold, but I saw people sit outside when they a large group of people, with coats on. I felt that I am entitled to refuse since I personally wanted to be in the CAF because the big table is empty, and it is a first comes first served situation. As for the owners of the CAF, they didn't really seem to care nor did they ask me to change my seating when I first sat down. I've been there several times and it is always very busy, with people staying for hours at a time when they're working and ordering several cups of coffee, maybe something to eat as well. That was my situation as well. I was going to be staying for an hour at most personally, and I ordered something to drink and a snack, so I didn't feel as if I'm making them lose money since the bigger group did settle down and ordered things to drink and eat anyway. In the end if the judgment is me being the I would still do the same as I did back then cause I had a big ass assignment to hand out and I didn't care if I inconvenienced other people. Edit, I accept the judgment of me being an asshole at that time. I do need to clarify something though, coffee shops in my country very often cater specifically to small budget students and people who need to work. This is why the price of their drinks are a bit expensive compared to a coffee that you'd get at a local bar. Coffees that offer both alcohol and basic drinks very often don't cater to people who work. It is customary to order several drinks throughout the hours you are working, or to order one small thing without it being seen as bad. But yes, I get it. I'm all for hogging the table instead of giving it up. Thinking about it hard, it isn't that big of a deal since nobody truly got hurt from since I ordered a bunch of stuff, but it is, socially, rude and assholish because I put myself first. Will I change? Well, I did find some places that are more comfortable to be at and sit at, so it's not like it has any impact on my life. As for those people who are so malicious towards me and acting as if I am the worst human possible for such a minor selfish thing, touch grass. Story 3. AITA for taking time off before finding a job. So, I'm, Sofa, F17, a trans girl, I'm 17 years old and I live in Mexico. I came out to my mom, F37, about 3 years ago. At first she took it well, but over time she got less and less accepting. She still refuses to call me by my name so I get misgendered and dead-named pretty much every day. This isn't helped by the fact that we just moved to a completely different house. My mom, and me and my sister, moved in with her boyfriend, who also has 2 sons living with him. The house doesn't have enough rooms so I'm forced to share a room with one of those 2 sons, who's definitely homophobic to some extent, so is the other son, which means I'll now have to hide my gender identity for some more time. I was moved a year ahead when I was in primary school, because of some weird family stuff that's too long to explain here, but the school I went to didn't bother to do anything legally, which means I'm officially still in the same year I was before. I graduated high school this July, but legally I won't be able to get my high school certificate until next year. This means I won't be able to enter university until 2024, so I'm essentially forced to have a gap year between high school and college. Lately, I've struggled hard with dysphoria. All of my mom's actions in these past few years didn't help, and it's really been taking a toll on me. I've felt depressed and very lonely in this new house as I'm pretty much forced to hide myself and pretend to be a cis guy while living with 3 completely new people I only literally met a few months ago. After graduation, I decided to take some time off, mainly to be able to cope with my dysphoria and stuff, but my mom really hated this choice I made, and she says I'm using my gender identity as an excuse to not find a job or to do anything productive during this gap year. She keeps saying stuff like, "You'll end up being useless if you don't do anything this year, your trans problem is the least of our priorities right now, you should grow up and stop caring about this gender stuff." She keeps saying I'm selfish and I should focus on things that are actually important. I do want to find a job, but I want to do it under my own terms and without her constantly pressuring me and screaming at me for doing literally anything. She gave me an ultimatum today: if I haven't found a job by Friday, she'll take away my computer, my phone, my piano. Playing music really helps me cope with dysphoria, and she'll ban me from listening to any music. She also once threatened to break my jaw if I ever spoke back to her again. Things got really heated and I accidentally raised my voice without realizing. Am I being selfish? Story 4. AITA for putting donations in the kitchen. Story 5. AITA for locking my door when I was changing my clothes. I am a teenage girl and basically my aunt and male cousin, 12 years old, were staying over at my house for the holidays. My room was on the first floor, their guest room was on the second floor. My cousin always comes down from the guest room to hang out with me and my sister cause he has no siblings and no one to hang out with. I have no problem with that, but sometimes it's annoying cause he just comes in without knocking and makes himself at home in my room. I'm a very tidy and clean person, so it kinda irritated me that he just touches everything and goes on my bed with his dirty feet. My bedroom has a bathroom in it where I bathe and etc. After I bathe, I put on my clothes in my room / outside of the bathroom because my wardrobe is in my room. And with my cousin always coming in without knocking, I lock my door every time I'm about to bathe. I sometimes forget to unlock it though, so sometimes when he's about to barge in, the door is locked. Now, because of me locking the doors, I've already avoided many times where he could have barged in while I'm naked. So, when I was in the middle of putting on clothes, my mother was greeted with the locked doors. After putting on my clothes I opened it for her. She then walked in and continued to ask if I locked the doors so my cousin can't hang out with me. I said no, and said that it was cause I was putting on clothes. Then she went on about how it's rude to lock doors when we have guests, and said that I'm just making up excuses not to hang out with my cousin. Now being the person I am, I hate being falsely accused. So I just went off on my mom saying how is it rude if I'm changing my clothes, I need the privacy, and to also avoid my cousin saying my naked on accident, etc. My mom snapped back at me basically telling the story how he has no siblings, no one to talk with, how he's so pitiful, how he's only gonna be staying for a few weeks, and still insisted that locking the doors was rude. Then we had this argument back and forth. I didn't back off, so in the end my mom did. I then gave her the silent treatment and didn't speak to her for a long time. AITA? That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.